Welcome to the Global Lens, bringing you the latest news from around the world. In a stunning diplomatic shift, the world has witnessed a moment many thought impossible just months ago. China has formally accepted Taiwan's proposal for closer ties, opening the door to a new era of dialogue and cooperation between the two sides. This move signals a possible end to decades of tension and military posturing in the Taiwan Strait, a region long seen as a flashpoint for global conflict. For years, Beijing claimed sovereignty over Taiwan, while Taipei built a thriving democracy and robust economy under the constant shadow of threats and uncertainty. This breakthrough, announced quietly by China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, follows weeks of secret negotiations behind closed doors and marks a dramatic departure from Beijing's previous hardline stance. Global markets surged in response, supply chains steadied, and the world breathed a cautious sigh of relief as fears of conflict began to subside. Yet, beneath the optimism, analysts warn that the path to lasting peace is fraught with challenges, deep mistrust, and unresolved historical grievances. For Taiwan's 24 million people, the moment is bittersweet. Hopeful for peace and stability, but wary of Beijing's intentions and the potential risks to their way of life. Taipei's leaders insist any agreement will be transparent, inclusive, and above all, protect Taiwan's sovereignty, democracy, and the freedoms its people cherish. The coming months will test whether this fragile détente can truly reshape the future of the region, or if old tensions will resurface once more. The world will be watching closely as history unfolds in the Taiwan Strait. To grasp the magnitude of today's breakthrough, we must revisit 1949, when the Chinese Civil War split the nation. The communists took the mainland, while the nationalists retreated to Taiwan, each claiming to be the true China. Over decades, the two sides diverged. China under communist rule, Taiwan evolving into a vibrant democracy and economic powerhouse. The 1970s saw the world recognize Beijing, isolating Taipei diplomatically, but strengthening its unique identity. Taiwan's transition to democracy in the late 1980s further set it apart, especially after the Tiananmen Square crackdown. As Taiwanese identity grew, so did resistance to Beijing's reunification ambitions. This deep divide fueled decades of tension, military drills, and diplomatic maneuvering. Now, unexpectedly, the stage is set for a new chapter. Taiwan's framework for cross-strait peace and cooperation is a carefully crafted, three-stage plan designed to address decades of tension and uncertainty across the Taiwan Strait. This proposal aims to build a foundation for lasting peace, step by step, through practical measures that benefit both sides. First, economic integration, establishing a joint economic zone to harmonize trade, reduce tariffs, and launch collaborative ventures in green energy and semiconductors, sectors where Taiwan excels. This stage also encourages investment and creates new opportunities for businesses, workers, and entrepreneurs on both sides, fostering mutual prosperity and interdependence. Second, cultural and social exchange, expanding tourism, creating a shared heritage fund, and launching large-scale student exchanges to foster understanding and break down stereotypes. These initiatives aim to deepen people-to-people ties, promote shared values, and celebrate the rich cultural connections that unite the two societies. Third, security confidence building, establishing a direct military hotline, creating a buffer zone free of provocative exercises, and conducting joint maritime patrols. These steps are designed to reduce the risk of accidental conflict, build trust between military leaders, and deliberately sidestep the contentious sovereignty issue for now. The proposal's genius lies in its pragmatism. There is no demand for Beijing to renounce its claims, only a call for incremental trust-building and practical cooperation. This approach allows both sides to move forward without forcing either to compromise on core principles. Both sides can claim victory. Taiwan secures its autonomy and continued prosperity, while China can frame the process as progress toward peaceful reunification. This delicate balance is key to the plan's potential for success. This step-by-step approach gave Beijing the political cover to say yes, making it easier for leaders to justify engagement to their domestic audiences and the world. The world now watches closely to see if these carefully designed stages can move from paper to reality, and whether both sides will have the patience and resolve to see the process through. Success could transform the region, ushering in a new era of stability and cooperation. Failure, however, could reignite old hostilities and plunge the strait back into crisis. The stakes could not be higher, as the outcome will shape the future not just for Taiwan and China, but for the entire Asia-Pacific region. Why did Beijing accept Taiwan's offer now? The answer lies in a mix of economic strain, shifting geopolitics, and military realities. China's economy faces slowing growth, a demographic crunch, and high youth unemployment, making war over Taiwan a costly gamble. Peace offers access to Taiwan's vital semiconductor industry and a chance to stabilize China's tech ambitions. Militarily, an invasion remains risky and uncertain, especially with U.S. intervention looming. Diplomatically, constant pressure on Taiwan only pushed it closer to the U.S. and its allies. By embracing dialogue, Beijing can recast itself as a peacemaker, potentially weakening U.S.-led containment. For China's leaders, a peaceful breakthrough secures their legacy and bolsters domestic legitimacy. This is a calculated pivot, one that could reshape the region's future. But the risks of backsliding remain ever present. The economic impact of this agreement is immediate and global. Taiwan dominates the semiconductor industry, producing the majority of the world's advanced chips, technology China desperately needs. A stable cross-strait relationship secures this supply chain, calming industries worldwide. The proposed economic zone promises growth for both sides. Taiwan gains access to China's vast market, while China taps into Taiwan's innovation. Yet deeper integration brings risks for Taiwan. Economic dependence could become political leverage for Beijing. Policymakers in Taipei must balance opportunity with vulnerability. Globally, safer shipping lanes and reduced risk in the Taiwan Strait benefit trade and investment everywhere. The world's economic outlook just became a little more predictable, but vigilance is still required. The United States welcomed the recent reduction in tensions, publicly reaffirming its long-standing commitment to Taiwan's self-defense and the peaceful resolution of disputes in the region. American officials emphasized that stability in the Taiwan Strait remains a core interest, and that the U.S. will continue to support Taiwan's security and democratic values. Officially, Washington's policy remains unchanged, maintaining its strategic ambiguity. But behind the scenes, the mood is more complex and divided, with policymakers weighing the risks and opportunities of the new agreement. Some in Washington see the agreement as a diplomatic win, lowering the risk of open conflict, supporting a stable and prosperous Taiwan, and buying time for further dialogue. Others, however, worry that the deal could be a Trojan horse, fearing that deepening ties between Beijing and Taipei might gradually erode Taiwan's autonomy and embolden China's ambitions in the region. The U.S. now faces the challenge of rethinking its Indo-Pacific strategy. With the old justification for military alliances potentially losing urgency, American defense planners must consider new ways to maintain deterrence and regional stability. As military tensions ease, economic and technological competition with China could take center stage. Issues like semiconductor supply chains, trade, and technological innovation are likely to become even more important in U.S. policy. Washington now faces a delicate balancing act, continuing to support Taiwan's freedom and democracy, while adapting to a rapidly shifting regional landscape and recalibrating its alliances. The stakes for U.S. credibility and influence in Asia have never been higher. Every move is closely watched by allies, rivals, and the global community. Around the world, governments and citizens alike are watching to see how America will respond to this new reality and what it means for the future of the region. The next moves made in Washington could shape not only U.S.-China relations, but the entire Indo-Pacific region for decades to come. Japan, Taiwan's closest neighbor, is relieved but remains vigilant. Peace in the strait secures its sea lanes, but Tokyo still eyes Beijing warily. The European Union hails the breakthrough, seeing it as a win for diplomacy and global trade stability. EU leaders encourage continued dialogue, hoping to set a precedent for peaceful conflict resolution. South Korea views the agreement as a possible model for its own tensions with the North. ASEAN nations welcome the reduced pressure to choose sides between China and the West. Yet some, like Australia and the Philippines, worry China may simply shift its assertiveness elsewhere. The core issue of China's regional ambitions remains unresolved. The agreement may move the chess pieces, but the game continues. The world's major players are recalibrating, watching for the next move. The future could unfold in several ways. In the best case, trust deepens, and the Taiwan Strait becomes a model of peaceful coexistence, like Canada and the US. More likely is managed competition. Economic and cultural ties grow, but military and political mistrust linger. The most worrisome scenario is strategic entrapment. China uses economic leverage to erode Taiwan's autonomy from within. Each path carries global consequences. Success could inspire new models of diplomacy, while failure could spark renewed conflict. The world must remain vigilant, as the stakes extend far beyond the strait. The next steps will determine whether this is a turning point or a temporary pause. The outcome will echo across the international order. July 30th, 2025 marks a historic turning point. China's acceptance of Taiwan's terms could end 75 years of hostility. The three-stage proposal offers a pragmatic path from confrontation to cooperation. Beijing's move is driven by economic needs and a desire to reshape its global image. The world's response is hopeful but cautious, knowing the risks of backsliding remain. For Taiwan, the challenge is to seize opportunity without sacrificing autonomy. The future could bring peace, managed rivalry, or renewed danger. The world watches, hoping this fragile truce becomes a lasting peace. Only time will tell if this is a new chapter, or just a pause in a long, unfinished story.